the sample size is small, right? I mean, you had one game where they were, splitting time and one where they didn't. But I would say yes. I mean, it's like probably just some peace of mind, and probably as a play caller and as players kind of knowing what the design's going to be. And, you know, obviously they had success. So that's a pretty good sign. But with a small sample size, I mean, it's hard. I don't want to be unfair to them too.
On offense, you guys have been mostly sticking with the same personnel for the entire game. What is your reasoning in using those shorter rotations, and do you think that it's been a benefit to the team?
We don't want to do that. We want to play more players. And I think from East Tennessee State, where we really played one line one group of guys for the entire game, with the exception of the running back position. I think most of the receivers played the entire game. The O-line played the entire game. Colorado State, we got a little bit better, right? We got we played two running backs, could have played three. Amir got in at receiver. Obviously, Devin played. We had some rotation in the offensive line too. So I think it's just, as coaches, it's just growing, a comfort in the guys that are game ready, that they put the work in, they're prepared to be out there. As players, it's taking ownership over the preparation so that there is a confidence heading into game day that they're prepared. Ideally, we're playing more players because the more players you play, the fresher you are through the course of the season. And I think also, it's a benefit to your locker room too. Guys feel like they have ownership stake in what's happening on Saturdays, and it kind of helps everyone's mojo a little bit as we go.
Thank you.
Is Ben, how's he doing? Is he trending toward playing or sitting, I guess?
He's doing well. I mean, right now, trending towards not playing, I would say, doubtful, but he's on the right path, and we feel good about, his progress through the injury.
I had a question about, I think you and David both mentioned this, like the administrative duties of an offensive coordinator. So like a couple times I've been asked about what an offensive coordinator does besides calling the plays and, coaching their position. I don't really have an answer because I've never, been a football coach. So what are the administrative, like what is the administrative side of it? I don't actually know.
Well, the tasks are incredibly complex, right? So take the play design and the structure as a thing in and of itself. What is the personality, the identity of the offense or the defense? Because it's the same on both sides. You're also responsible for the messaging within the unit. So you have to inspire the movement forward, the growth of the unit. You then you go from being a position coach where you have upwards maybe 10 to 12 people, depending on what position. Now you're taking on 50, and you have to be in touch with all the things going on for those 50. What's inhibiting performance, right? What are the things that are holding back performance? What you realize quickly in that role is that you're really only as strong as the position coaches are aligned with your message. So you shift into a management role where you're overseeing each position coach underneath you. And really to say underneath you is the wrong. It's like your team, your team of coaches. You're responsible for keeping them tethered to your message, and then also pushing in the areas that need to be pushed. If there's a player that's underperforming, if there's something that's holding a player back in a relationship standpoint, like all of that has to kind of be on your mind all the time. And then aside from that, everything that you do within a practice is at your direction. So, for example, right now we have, segments of practice that are, just individual, which is player and position coach. Well, that needs to be, there needs to be a pulse on that from the coordinator position to say, hey, are we doing the things we need to do to fix the issues we're having on Saturdays? Or are we just deferring to drills because that's what, we've always done? From there, it's like, at what point are we coming together in small groups? So, O-line, tight ends, running backs are going to work together on these protections. Receivers and quarterbacks are going to work together on these route concepts, etc. Within that, it's, when they are working on protections, you're also overseeing like what are the blitzes that are most complex and where you need to spend the most time. And then every segmented scout period, right, which we have 3 15-minute periods yesterday in practice, those scripts are the coordinator's responsibility. So he's taking the plays that he wants to see, the defenses or the offenses he wants to see against the calls that he feels like he's most stressed in. And the goal is not that you leave practice feeling like you're invincible. I mean, you're trying to stress your systems and structures out. You're trying to find the plan that Stanford will have that's going to punch holes in what we do. And so, I mean, that's the job, right? There's a lot of management involved in that. There's a lot of administrative duties that require attention and focus, not to mention the fact that, you also have to coach your position group, right? So there's an added layer there where you're going to, you want to make sure that your group is setting a tone for the unit, because at the end of the day, the unit's your responsibility. It's a complex set of skills.
Davion's had,
Yeah,
Davion's had several passes that he batted down at the line of scrimmage and whatnot. What have you seen out of him, and what are you hoping to see more from him going forward?
Well, he's been a heartbeat for our team. He's a captain, and so he brings a lot to the table that we draw from. I felt like in the second half of the Colorado State, we started to see the production that he's capable of, and some of the batted passes that you speak of are a part of that. I felt like he played more physical in the second half. He's a physical player, but his strengths are his athleticism, his speed off the ball, quickness, so pad level is important. He played 70 snaps, I think, which is incredible for an interior defensive lineman. He's in incredible shape. But to start fast, as our team needs to start fast, if he can find that edge to his game early, and find early production, he can be a driving force for team success. As he gets comfortable early in the game.
So I imagine you probably saw it by now, but you're gonna love this question. But David Shaw, had some comments about saying that Stanford can recruit nationally because essentially it's a better university than Vanderbilt, Duke, Northwestern, and maybe came across as a shot. I just wanted to give you the chance to respond if you so desire.
I honestly, Robbie, I'm like so dialed into our team right now that I do not spend a lot of time reading the what's said outside of this bubble. I mean, I don't see the need to respond.
That's fine.
All right, guys. Anything else? Go ahead, Aria. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, just to follow up on Davion, is there anything specifically that you've seen out of him from that leadership standpoint, especially, after that ETSU game?
Well, in the time, he's not afraid to speak up. He just and he does it in a way that's it's direct. It's not emotional. It's not like he's yelling at the play. He supports his teammates. He's strong in leadership, strong in message. I feel like the shift in our sideline dynamic, was everyone had ownership over, but I felt him differently in the Colorado State game on the sideline than the East Tennessee State game. So I think he's evolving in that way, just as his teammates are, but his willingness, I mean, he's a captain and a leader, but he's a work in progress, right? It's just like kind of it's just a little different, right? You've been, being at the front of the line, and yet there's so many things internally you have to work on too. He's humble enough to do that. And we're going to rely on him over the course of the season. And as we build in the future too, he's he's a source of strength for our program.